Hi, I'm Jennifer Tilly. I'm fine with Chucky, but I'm a little bit afraid to be alone with Jake Hogan. Can you blame me?
Don't be alone with Jake Hogan.
Hi there. Welcome to Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan. I am Jake Hogan, and I'm really grateful you're here to listen to this show because it's going to be a good one. If you have the opportunity, please write me at dbawjk@gmail.com. That's dbawjk@gmail.com, and send me your letters, your suggestions, questions for the guests. I really rely on those. Any kind of comments and anything you want to say. I love keeping in touch with you because I do it so I have contact with people. Otherwise, I'm just stuck with my family, and they're horrible. Today, we have a great guest, a great show. Jennifer Tilly is here. Jennifer Tilly, very wonderful actress. You know her from Bullets Over Broadway. You know her from The Wrong Guy. You know her from Let It Ride. You know her from many things. She's now a guest on Beverly Hills Housewives. She's not one of the housewives, but she's housewife adjacent, and we'll talk about what that means. She's also a professional poker player, which I love poker. She's also a very old friend, and she was the wife of one of my mentors, and we have so much to talk about. I'm not going to delay it any further, so here is Jennifer Tilly.
Don't be alone with Jake Hogan.
Jennifer Tilly, we're on, and thank you for being here.
Oh, fantastic. I'm so happy. I was wondering when you were going to ask me. I was like, oh, he has a secret club where he has all his friends come on and talk about interesting things.
Exactly.
And, when you finally asked me, I was like, I guess he ran out of interesting people.
I did. That is actually the day I ran out of interesting people. I texted you, and you were right there. I don't know what happened.
Right there.
That's so amazing. No, I only have people that I'm interested in talking to.
Right.
And the show's only been on for a couple of months, so... I have lots of interesting people I still want to talk to.
Oh, fantastic! Well, congratulations on your new show.
Can I tell you that the podcast money is rolling in? Oh my God! I don't know. I mean, you're around during the Simpsons, the giant Simpsons stuff.
Yes, I was.
This overshadows that by a million.
Does it really?
Yes,
delusional one.
We've known each other for many, many years.
I've known you since you were a toddler. Yes.
Well, this is true.
Didn't my ex-husband give you your first writing job?
He did. He was my mentor in many ways.
And you guys, on It's Garry Shandling show.
And it's Garry Shandling's show. We were runners for... You
were like
on that thing.
PA.
And we handed him a script, and he said, I'm going to show this over to the Tracy Ullman show. And he got us
And
our
you know what?
first
That's
writing
very
job.
unusual, because usually when people hand me a script, I'm like, oh, okay. And then I never read it because it's so hard to read an unsolicited script. And it's almost procrastinating. It's like, I know it's going to be awful, and then what will I say? And so you just never get around to reading it.
This is true.
So the fact that Sam actually read the script that you handed to him, you and Wally Wolodarski.
Sure,
I love
my
it.
writing partner at the time.
Yes,
yes, who's no longer my writing partner, but still my very good friend.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, so Sam, so you knew us when we were kids. Now, isn't it weird to see that I'm an old man?
No, you're still a kid. I mean, Sam, even before he passed away, he still thought of you as a kid.
Yes, I know. We had a very interesting relationship, Sam and I. Sort of like a big brother, little brother kind of relationship.
Yeah, Sam loved you.
Yeah,
Sam,
I loved him.
And he was so proud because you're like the only person you got up when you accepted your Emmy and you thanked Sam, and we were sitting there and he was really, really happy. And like you said, and I want to thank Sam Simon.
And I credited him when I won my Emmy, and yet he didn't leave me millions and millions of dollars.
You know what? Nobody got any money.
I know.
Except for Kate got some money.
Okay.
His girlfriend, because she sued the estate.
All right.
She's like, what happened to my money?
Right.
You should have said, what happened to my money?
I should have sued the estate.
Right.
I think, I mean, people would have respected that.
But maybe more convincing that he might have meant to leave some money to the girl who was like, helping him out while he was sick.
Yeah.
Kate.
Sure.
Then Jake Hogan, who thanked him at the Emmys.
Jake Hogan. I mean, I helped him out a little bit, but not as much as Kate.
But remember we would bring the dealer dolls over and we'd have the poker games.
That'd be fantastic.
We'd play poker when he was sick.
Yes.
That was so fun.
He was
Mark Thompson, Drew Carey, my boyfriend Phil Locke,
he
famous
died
poker
very
player.
well, Sam.
He actually said the last year of his life was the happiest year of his life.
I want to die like Sam did.
He was surrounded by hot babes,
Yep.
Pam Anderson included.
Yeah.
Where's Pam Anderson's money?
I don't know.
And the animals are going, where's our money?
Yeah, it's
Everybody
all
wants
crazy.
to know where the money went.
So, as you know, because you're an avid listener to my podcast,
Yes.
the show is all about solving my problems.
I love that.
It's Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan. And my
love it.
problem this week that I thought you could help me with is I don't fully understand what it means to be a starlet. Now, you talked about having a publicist and taking
Yes.
photos and trying to get on. That's just one aspect of being a star in Hollywood.
Right.
Now, you've been at this for many years, so you know all the things that I should know when I'm dealing with you were a star in one of my movies.
Yes, I was.
I'm sure I didn't treat you appropriately like stars are supposed to be treated.
No,
Am
you
I?
certainly did. Well, when you said, I wonder, I don't know what it is to be a starlet. And I think that's a little bit of my problem is that being a starlet is all I know. And now, at my advanced age, I'm like, well, being a starlet is like wearing the sexy outfit or, doing sort of.
Well, I do that. I do that. And I do the cheesecake photos.
Like stunts. Like I had to, in fact, I just posted a topless picture of myself in the Bahamas the other day on vacation. Yes. And
Why?
I thought it seemed like the thing to do. Of course, I blurred out my nipples a little bit. So,
Okay.
But the way I blurred it out, it looks like I have an indentation on the end of it, like a volcano.
If you have at a premium, like a site where they could pay extra, they could say nipples exposed.
Nipples included.
Yeah, exactly.
Join my OnlyFans account. Nipples included.
Right.
But the thing is, when you get older, then a lot of the things that worked for you when you were younger, like being kind of sexy and clueless and everything, not so attractive. So being an aging starlet, not as much fun as being a starlet. So there's starlets, and starlets do all the stunts like the Marilyn Monroe stunts where their strap breaks and and
so that's on purpose?
yes, of course.
All the
Yeah, she Marilyn Monroe, when her strap broke,
Right.
she kind of jury rigged it for it to break at,
Okay.
at an opportune moment.
Do you think Janet Jackson's thing was on purpose?
Of course, yes. She was wearing like this bronze nipple clamp. But
Right,
it was on purpose, but when they saw how horrified everybody was,
Right.
then they both said it was a wardrobe malfunction, but
I
it
see.
wasn't. He said, I'm going to have you naked by the time the song's over. And then he ripped off her top to expose her, nipple plates.
Right.
If she knew that was going to happen, she wouldn't have had nipple plates on. If she didn't know that was going to
This is how
happen.
dumb
'cause
I am.
Very,
I just
very
assume she's
unpainful.
always wearing nipple plates
They were
all
like
the time.
they were like these little metal things that were sort of biting her bosom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was inappropriate. It's a Super Bowl. I think they miscalculated. They're
I
like
agree.
sometimes people go so far like, oh, I want to be edgy, and that they don't that they miscalculate
So I mean,
the venue.
how much of a young actress or an actress of any kind is there? Working about my image, my prep,
I
my
felt
hair, my clothes.
Well, I felt like when I was starting out, and nothing ever came easy to me, but I would go to literally the opening of envelope. I go to movie screenings and everything, and I always explained it like I felt like it was like wearing a sign that says "Eat at Joe's." Like you have no desire to eat at Joe's, and you see a man walking down the street with a big sandwich board saying "Eat at Joe's," and they go, maybe I should eat at Joe's.
Right.
So I felt like when I showed up to a movie premiere, someone's like, who would be good for that part of in the back of their mind, who would be good for that part? Who would be, oh, there's Jennifer Tilly. She would be good. And so many times after I went to some sort of event, I would get a script the next day. Like I think that's how I got Stuart Little is I went to the animators Oscar party and I was kind of like, I don't know, the animators? And then I thought, oh, maybe Rob Minkoff will be there because I worked with him on Stuart Little. And it's like, I like Rob Minkoff. And I saw him and I was talking to him and we were having a good time. Reminded him he liked me. The next day he offered me the part of Madame Leota in The Haunted Mansion.
Oh, fantastic.
So I read once that people they can only remember 40 to 50 names at any given time.
Wow.
And so then it's just kind of good to be out there and look available and look like you're not an alcoholic or a junkie or haven't gotten really fat.
Right. I look like I've gotten really fat, and I'm an alcoholic and a junkie. So, but as a writer, it's okay.
I'm saying as an actress, people always want, if they don't see you, they're like, whatever happened to them?
Right.
They don't really care that much.
Right.
What happened to you?
Right.
They assume that you voluntarily dropped out of the business.
Yes.
So it's really always good to keep your name up there in the public eye.
But even before you can get to that place, you have to work to become that person that people even know. And you did that. You get many movie roles and TV roles and before you get to sort of Bullets Over Broadway, which is like giving you Academy Award nomination. Right. That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. That sort of solidifies someone's career in a way.
Right. I think I was hampered by, I did not know until the whole Harvey Weinstein thing hit the fan. I didn't know you're supposed to sleep with people to get jobs. Yeah. I think I was like, once I went to, he was the head of Warner Brothers or something. And my manager goes, oh, hey, so-and-so, I'm not going to say his name, creepy little guy, short, pudgy, said, oh, so-and-so wants to have a meeting with you. And I said, why? And he goes, well, he really admires your talent. Mm-hmm. And,
did he really do air quotes? Because that would be a sign.
He didn't
if he did air quotes,
he didn't do
he admires your talent.
Air quotes over the phone. I was so naive. And I was like, oh, he goes, I think he's looking to develop some projects for you. Mm-hmm. So I showed up. I'm wearing my Asadina Laya dress. And I'm sitting there.
What kind of dress?
It's Asadina Laya. So
what is that?
It's a fancy kind of dress.
Is that a designer or a material?
Remember when that guy sang, he was singing in the 90s or the 80s and all those girls wearing the black dresses behind him and they all looked alike. That's Asadina Laya dress.
Okay, I see.
It's sort of...
it's a designer.
It's designer.
It's the little black dress.
Yeah, it shows your figure.
Yeah, okay.
So I was sitting there and he was like being like really weird. He was talking about his house in Malibu and how he drove in this morning in his Ferrari. Yeah. And then he goes, well, you need to work on your image. He goes, look how you're dressed. He goes, he was saying you're dressed more like for a date than a business meeting. I was like, I don't think I'm dressed for a date. He was saying stuff like that. And he goes, hold on a second. He goes, that's Oliver Stone. I have to take him. I go, I know Oliver. Tell him hi.
Right.
He's like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, tell him hi from Jennifer. He did not say hi from me. He treated me like as a bug. And then he hung up and he goes, oh, he has a premiere tonight, the JFK premiere. And I go, I'm gonna go to that premiere. I went home, I was crying. I said, I don't even know. The way he's treating me was so weird and odd. Now, in retrospect, I realized that might have been my one experience with couch casting, but I had no idea. When he said, you're dressed more for a date than meeting, that's when I should have said, well, hey, I'll suck your dick, you know?
Well, when I started out in Hollywood, before I knew who anybody was, I just sucked everybody's dick.
Did you really?
Just figuring out, hoping that I would meet somebody who had some kind of power.
That's how you got that Emmy.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Everybody likes to have their dick sucked.
Well, who doesn't? Yeah. Come on. But I get it. I mean, I grew up in show business, and I grew up with father and producer, and I just assumed that if you sort of try to coerce somebody into sleeping with you for a part or something, you'd go to jail. I assumed.
I thought couch casting was something from the 50s or the 60s.
I just thought you'd be in trouble.
And I also thought someone's going to put somebody in, I thought maybe it exists on a small level. Like if you're going to put somebody in a movie that you were sleeping with, it would be a 5-line and under. Like, why would you jeopardize the movie? Right. I didn't realize the extent to which it was happening.
I still don't.
I did a movie with Vincent Gallo. He hated Harvey Weinstein, and I won't say the person's name because we're on a podcast. But anyway, he goes, Jennifer, and I've never been up for a Harvey Weinstein movie or a Miramax film. Bullets Over Broadway is Miramax, but they sold it to MAFTA's cast. And then I think they were really mad that I mounted my own Oscar campaign because they thought I was going to split the vote between me and Diane Wiest, who inexplicably was in the same category as me, even though she was the lead actress. So, but they were really annoyed. I heard they were very annoyed that I got the Oscar nomination because they were like really doing everything they could to make it not happen. So anyway, when I was doing a movie with Vincent Gallo, he goes, Jennifer, all those girls in those Miramax movies are... they're in Weinstein's stable. And I go, no. I go, not so-and-so, big actress. He goes, especially so-and-so. And I go, what? How do you know? And he goes, Jennifer, I was staying at the Chateau Marmont and they went into the bungalow next to me. I said, that doesn't mean anything. I've done lots of auditions at the Chateau Marmont. Everyone out of town, they get a thing. And he goes, Jennifer, I heard them. I go, what did you hear? he goes, I heard Harvey say, get down on your knees and suck my dick.
Wow.
And then I said, and then what did you hear? And he goes, I heard sucking noises.
Okay.
Like,
All right. Well,
because he said, you haven't stayed there before. You don't know how thin the walls are.
Right.
Apparently the walls are very thin.
Right.
So, and this is a big major motion picture actress. So I was like, well, I guess, and then it all came out, like all those poor girls that were victimized or victimized themselves. It was just, it was like a huge scandal.
But if you, I don't know. I mean, of course, it's horrible, and producers, wield their power, and that's a nightmare. And hopefully, there's less of that now. But it's one of those things where I think if the predator picks their prey, like they pick people who aren't going to scream and yell and go like, "Go to SAG."
And Harvey was so powerful. I just really think people thought they would never work again, and it turned out a lot of people who rebuffed him, like Mir Sorvino, apparently Rosanna Arquette, did disappear.
Okay, so let's assume for a moment you're a starlet who doesn't want to sully herself by kowtowing to evil producers.
Yes.
What are the other things that you would recommend that legitimately a star should do in order to sort of, at least when we were coming up, what that would be? I don't know what it is now, but maybe, you had to look great all the time. You had to be very aware of your public presence, and now with the internet, like anywhere you go, you could be shot and filmed and
right. Well, right now I'm on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and I have to have my hair and makeup people do me even if they're doing me just making a phone call, like because I'm an actress and I like to have my hair and makeup done when I'm on screen, and I just flew them to our cast trip, which is very expensive, and I think that's the thing. Like when I would go to premieres, I would always I would spend most of my money on clothing. I would always wear things like, if I would kind of know the questions that they were asking, like I saw everything as an opportunity. Right. So I kind of would think, what kind of questions will they ask me on the red carpet? Because being a nominal celebrity, not a big celebrity, if you're a big star, like you're Kate Blanchett or Brad Pitt, you can mumble your way down the red carpet. Right. People just want to see you because you're a big star, like a magnificent animal in the zoo, like a white tiger or anything. But I always knew as a substandard star, like a C+ star, that I always felt like I had to have something more. And it's sort of like how they say, well, the pretty girl feels like the ugly girls have to have personality. And I always saw myself as that, as I wasn't the pretty girl. And so I always saw myself more as a comedian. So when I would go down the red carpet, like went to the 7 Deadly Sins at, 7?
Now, I thought, of course, I'm just to stop you. You're beautiful.
But I never saw myself that way.
Let's just say you're beautiful. I can't sit here and and allow you to say you're the ugly girl. And you are also very funny. Yes, you are very funny and very talented, but you're beautiful. Right. That's okay. Yes. You can say that. Okay, now go on.
Okay, thank you. Pause for obligatory compliment. So anyway, like at 7, I would think they're probably going to ask, what's your favorite deadly sin? And sure enough, they did. Now I had a funny answer that I could say.
Which was?
I forget what it was.
Okay.
But then when Entertainment Tonight included the celebrities saying what their deadly sin was, because I was funny, I wasn't the biggest celebrity there, but they included
on
mine.
The package, sure.
And so when I would be on a talk show, it wasn't like a lot of actors would be like, oh, I'm just here to answer boring questions about my movie. And they'd be like, well, and that's why they have, and I just think it's kind of, I wouldn't say appalling, but they came over from Graham Norton in London. Now the talk shows, everyone has to ride little mini bikes or get inside big things that bounce or squirt each other with water guns. Games. Because they feel like the celebrities are too boring to sit and answer questions. You look in the golden age of talk shows like Johnny Carson or whoever was before. The celebrities have funny stories. So you understand, I'm here to tell an interesting story, not just to sit and answer questions like a recalcitrant
there were a format that allowed people today just to tell funny stories and just sit and talk.
Yes.
If there was some kind of format.
Yeah. It was,
some kind of, I don't know. Anyway, we'll think about it. So this is the thing. That takes a lot of brain power to do all that stuff.
Yes, and then I go home and I'd be exhausted and my brain would be tired out.
Right.
Yes.
But here you are, I think, making a living a lot of times playing the sort of bubbly-headed gals. For a little while.
Bubbly-headed, yes.
For a while. So what was the smartest character that you feel
It's so
you've
funny
ever
because
played?
I'm on a podcast to talk about myself, and I'm like, oh, I'm tired of talking about myself. Let's talk about Jay for a while.
You can talk about me.
The smartest character I played was probably Bound, and that character, even though she was very sexy, Bound was sort of a film noir movie where two lesbians, myself and Gina Gershon, decide to rip off the mob, exemplified by the fantastic Joey Pantoliano.
Right.
And my character was very, very conniving, and she also put on a front, like sort of a fake front of, oh, I'm just a decoration, but underneath she was like very, very, very submerged and calculating and dark. And at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, because I know it's on Netflix now, but Gina and I ride off into the distance together, and people loved our characters. And sometimes people would say, well, what do you think is going to happen to them? Like they wanted to believe like it was true love. And it was like, I don't think Violet can really love anybody but herself. I just was saying for a while, well, I think it's going to end badly. She was kind of just using Corky, but then I started to notice people were appalled that I was saying that. And I was like, oh, well, she finally found her soulmate, and then people were happy. I felt like the things, you can't even say what's going to happen after the movie's over. The movie is over. Right. So let everybody say what they want to say. When I did Let It Ride, which is a great movie. Great movie. Richard Dreyfuss. Joe Pytka directed. Joe Pytka. Brilliant Joe Pytka. Okay. The only movie, he directed another movie too about a basketball player and cartoons. But the thing, and they actually reshot some of that because it was a great film, but they were testing with the audience, and there's a scene where Richard Dreyfuss, who is married to Terry Garr, is so excited that his horse won that he grabs my character, who's like a sexy little snack, and gives her this giant kiss. Right. Well, apparently the audience thought after the movie was over, he was going to find Vicky, my character's phone number, little scrap of paper in his pocket. It would be Vicky, and he would have an affair on his wife. Right. And the studio head said, oh, we can't have that. Right. We can't have that because he's a decent everyman, and we don't want the audience thinking he might have an affair on his wife after the movie is over, which I just thought was the most ludicrous thing. So we went back and we reshot that scene where I said, I think I want to have sex with you because I think you're kind of funny, that's all. And he looked me square in the eyes and he said, and this is a line that he wrote, I'm sorry, Vicky, that will never happen. You see, I'm in love with my wife. This is what Richard wrote? Richard or Richard's people or somebody working with Richard, because the original writer was like, what? Right. I think I would say that, that if I was at a racetrack and I won a horse and I kissed a girl nearby, my wife would not be thrilled. Yes, but she didn't see it. Yeah, she would not be thrilled, honest. And it was really funny because they put this, he had a fake mustache on, and they put this spirit gum, because he didn't want my lipstick, I had red lipstick to go all over his face. So somebody's bright idea to put spirit gum over my mouth, which is the sticky thing. Right. So he kissed me, he swoops me down, gives me a big kiss, and then he swoops me back up again, and his whole mustache was stuck to my face. Yes. Yeah. Fantastic. Yes. See, I paid just to see that. So that's very cool. So behind the scenes shenanigans. Yes. Listen, I used you in the ill-fated Wrong Guy. Wrong Guy is one of my favorite movies ever. Mine too. My ex-husband saw the screening of it. He loved it. He thought it was brilliant. He was so effusive. You were very suspicious. You thought maybe he was pulling your leg. Well, because you never heard anybody be so enthusiastic. And Sam always, Sam had two sides. He can come at you with the criticism pretty sharply. He loved it so much. He always said, in order for a comedy to be successful, it only has to have 5 big laughs in the whole film. That was his theory. He said there's 5 big laughs in the first 10 minutes. Yeah, we have a lot of laughs. And, David Foley, who played he's brilliant. The cast was amazing. Yes. I was so happy to be a part of that. Yeah, we're so happy to have you. But I know David Steinberg kind of went off and offered me the movie without even consulting you guys. And you were all sort of disgruntled, like, oh, he came back after lunch. We went to lunch, and he goes, and I was doing my best to be like the most delightful person you ever, that's part of my job. And towards the end of the lunch, before dessert was even offered, he goes, we would love if you were in our film. And I was like, what? Yeah. Because that never happens to me before. Usually there's auditions and then more auditions, and then you meet a whole bunch of people, and then the screen test. And apparently he went swaggering back to the office, and he said to you and Dave Higgins and Dave Foley, like, I got Jennifer Tilly to be in the movie. And I heard you guys were all disgruntled. Like, what? Well, we would have liked to have something to say about that.
Well, that's the thing. It wasn't the choice of you. It was sort of like he didn't have the right to offer it to you without talking to us.
Well, thank you for not taking back the offer.
Well, we love you, but it's sort of protocol. Like, it's just the same thing as as me walking in and offering something to somebody else for a show that I don't have the right to offer. If I was, offering a Grey's Anatomy.
Right.
You got a part on Grey's Anatomy. And then I try to go to Grey's Anatomy and say, I hired Jennifer Tilly. Like, you have no right.
Right. I really do think it's great American comedy, and I'm really happy it's finding its audience now.
And Canadian comedy as well.
Canadian. Every time I went to Canada, and my permanent residence permit expired about 14 years ago. And whenever I'd go through, there was a guy in Victoria, and unfortunately, he's not working there anymore, at Customs. And he'd go like, hello, Jennifer, welcome home. The Wrong Guy is my favorite movie. And then I'd be like, then he'd look at my permanent residence card that expired. He goes, oh, you got to take care of that. I go, yes, I will.
Right.
Waving, like, bye.
Sure.
So then when I was trying to get into Canada to film Chucky, I begged them, because they're making me, the producers, walk across the border, because they said that was it. They drive me to Seattle. I'd walk across the border. They'd pick me up. I'd have to take a ferry. It was like an all-day journey. And the third year, I said, please just let me go through Victoria, because this guy loves me because of The Wrong Guy. And then I landed in Victoria. The cheerful guy that loved Wrong Guy was no longer there, because it'd been so long since I've been there.
They realized he was insane, and they took him off the Do you have time to do Chucky and Beverly Hills Housewives?
Well, I just did it this summer because, I don't know, it was the strike, the 4.5 month strike really threw a wrench into things. Like usually we film Chucky every summer. Housewives has been wanting me to be on their show for like 3 years. And well, it's not really a lateral move to be on a reality show when you're, starring on a TV show, but I'm a huge Housewives fan.
Yeah.
The Beverly Hills Housewives fan I've been watching. And my best friend, Sutton Strack, is on the show.
So Sutton, here's the thing. Sutton must be a very nice person to be your best friend.
Yeah, she is.
But the person I see on the TV show isn't so nice all the time.
Well, she's not. You know what? The fans love her, and you know why? Because she's real. Like, she gets cranky, or she makes mistakes, she makes missteps.
She tells it like it is.
No, she's a little, I would say, self-involved. She'd be the first to notice that. But then she apologizes, and she cries, and so she comes across more authentic than some of the other girls. But, when I go onto the show, and from what I was watching and everything, maybe some of the ladies don't like her shenanigans so much. So
but maybe what I was saying is she seems nice in person. She must be your friend. But the show is edited such that every episode there's a crisis of some kind, either manufactured or not.
This show, I swear to God, I'm so out of my element, because as an actress, and I established earlier that we're very needy, I want everybody to like me.
Right.
So anyway,
but you're going to be portrayed as somebody who did something horrible.
People are saying, Jennifer, you have to get into a fight. That's how you're a good housewife. But I'm a friend of, so I don't really have to get in a fight. But I have never been with a group of ladies where they sit down in a restaurant and right off the bat they start screaming at each other. It's like, let the games begin. I'm like, oh my God.
But it's for show. That's how to be on a TV show.
It is. And I love all these ladies. I feel like, they're just spinning reality TV magic out of thin air.
Right.
I try to keep up. I don't know if I'm cut out to be a housewife, but I sort of was like, I just wanted to do it to see what it was like.
Right.
Like, I crawled into the TV. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be one and done. But
do you ever fear that you're going to be portrayed as a villainous or something horrible?
The thing on the show is to be really authentic, and it's not authentic for me to just like throw drinks and turn over tables over something relatively minor. Like, when I'm watching the fight, it's like, it's to me relatively minor, but they have a lot of history. But it seems like there's nothing that can't be worked out. Like, I'm super enjoying it. I'm having so much fun.
All right.
Love these ladies. But I hope there's not going to be any over-the-top histrionics from Miss Tilly. No reality Emmy award performance from Miss Tilly.
Right.
I'm the one that's just kind of ducking and dodging and trying to avoid being hit by shrapnel.
Let me just, we're about to go to question time, because we have, as you know, you're such a big fan of the show. Yes. We go to question time.
Yes.
We have many different segments. So we'll
and he's saying that facetiously because he understands that I have never seen the show.
You've never seen the show.
I'm going to see it now.
It's question time.
This is from Lucky Betty. She says, how do you do sex scenes like in Bound? Okay. So how do you do sex scenes like in Bound?
Well, in Bound, we wanted to make sure that it was very artistically, not just like a whole lot of boobs and butts flying everywhere, and especially because Dina De Laurentiis was the producer. A lot of times they take the movies, they'll send them off to Italy, and they insert a lot more nude parts.
Sure.
And the Wachowskis were concerned about that too, because they wanted to be expression of the love between the two women, as well as being sexy, obviously, because Gina and I are very sexy. They put the camera on a crane and they had it moving around us in one long continuous shot, so you couldn't edit into it without it being very obvious.
Right.
And so the great thing is when you're doing a sex scene with a woman, that you're helping each other out. Like, I've done sex scenes with men before. There's always something in you want to, even though you're not, you want to be attractive to the man, and you're not going to be pointing out your flaws. But with Gina and I, we were saying things like, oh, hey, can you put your hand on my thigh to cover up the cellulite? And I'd be like, can you cup my bosom in your hand and sort of prop it up to make it look more plump and juicy and delightful? So we were helping each other out in that regards. And because we're like very good friends and we adored each other, it was fine. I actually literally had my hand on Gina's, and she wasn't wearing any like little
covering garments.
She wasn't wearing anything. I was making kind of a bikini bottom with my hand down in her crotch. And actually, we got an NC-17 from the board, which is the kiss of death, and they said to the Wachowskis, well, they're enjoying it. It seems like they're enjoying it so much. It seems like Jennifer's actually giving her a hand job. And the Wachowskis said, let me get this straight. If Gina and Jennifer weren't such good actresses, we would be getting an R rating. And they're embarrassed, and they go, yeah, kind of. But the thing is, it is easier with a woman, definitely. And, it helps that Gina is like such a cool chick. Like, I've never heard her say anything bad about any woman she's ever worked with. And she had just come off of Showgirls. And she had nothing but good things to say about Elizabeth Berkley. Yeah. I mean, she's very kind. So I know that she's not going to, in the future, be going, oh my God, Jennifer Tilly's kissing technique leaves something to be desired.
Right. Okay. Well, but is there embarrassment about being naked? Is it like, do you have to work yourself up to it?
Not at all. It's like poker. It's very exhilarating. My first like big nude sex scene was on The Getaway with Michael Madsen, and I had first of all, they said we couldn't, because usually I'll get a script with nudity and I think, oh, that nudity will come right out. It's not necessary. Like 90% of the nude scenes in movies, but they said the actresses weren't even allowed to audition unless they agreed to the nudity, because apparently Roger Donaldson thought nudity is very important. So I basically had just met. Usually they'll have the nudity at the end of the movie when people have gotten to know each other, trust each other, or it could be a problem because maybe at the end of the movie they hate each other. I just barely met Michael, and he's like a really cool guy. And I don't know if people would think that about him because of the characters he plays, but he's actually such a cool guy. So I just met him, and they're like, Jennifer this and Michael this and Jennifer. Okay, take off all your clothes and go in the other room and simulate mad passionate sex. And I was like so anxious about, but I thought, you know what, it won't really be like nudity because Michael's a big guy and I'll be on the bottom and he'll sort of drip over me and cover up my its and bits. And I explained this to Michael about like my concept for the scene, and he goes, honey, his character's name is Rudy. He goes, Rudy wants it, but as you see, I've got one of my arms in a cast. He goes, Rudy doesn't want it that bad that he's going to be doing one arm push-ups. And I was like, oh my God, they want me to be doing like a cowgirl on top. I was like, yikes. And they did. They literally wanted me sitting up in front of him, like grinding away. So they had all the crew was like behind the door, and this one guy, and his whole job was, there was a sheet around my bottom, and they'd look through the camera and they go fix the sheet. So his job was, before every take, he'd run and he'd pull the sheet down so my bottom would be exposed, and then he'd run out of the room. That was
it? He made sure he was the butt exposer?
That was his job. He was the official sheet puller downer. So anyway, I did, the first time we were doing it, the guy who played my husband, he's tied up in the other room to a chair, and he hears my character making noises like she's in distress, because Fran is a very vocal sex person. But I know
this movie, and I know the scene, and I've always felt bad for that guy.
So he hops his chair, he's tied up, he hops his chair to the door, he peeks through the door, he sees Fran just having the greatest time in her life, like she never had sex with him like that before, and he's upset. Well, the first thing, he screamed so loud, he screamed like a cat that was being flung over a fence. He was like, Wah!
Yeah.
We did not expect that he would be screaming with such passion. And me and Michael just dissolved into giggles. We were laughing so hard. And then Roger Donaldson came in and we were like, oh, we're so sorry. We didn't know he was going to scream so loud. It just struck us as funny. And he goes, I love it. He goes, it's so twisted and sick. He just said, keep it up.
In, yeah.
So you do, and it does seem really heartless
does
that
seem
we
pretty
just
heartless,
laugh. We're laugh hysterically.
Right.
So yeah, so that was.
And he hangs himself after that.
He hangs himself, and it's so funny because.
So I feel bad for that guy. I got to be honest. I feel bad for that. This was your husband.
Michael Madsen had this little kitten that he, was carrying around with him. He loved this little kitten, and he was going in the bathroom to pee. And I said to him, "Take the kitten with you." 'Cause, sometimes you don't know why, but it just seems like a good idea. So he goes to pee, and he takes the kitten with him. And while he's peeing, he looks over. He sees the guy hanging from the ceiling, and I said, hang the cat off the body. I guess we were kind of torturing this actor. So he puts the little kitten on top of and the little kitten goes on top of the body, which is actually another actor that's not supposed to be breathing or anything like that. And this kind of ran down the body and ran away. It was like a great moment.
Yeah.
I was responsible for that moment.
That's good. That's what movie magic's all about.
Movie magic.
Capturing the moment. All right. So now it's time. This is time for listener mail.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time for listener mail.
Now it's time for listener mail.
This is a question that was not specifically meant for you. The other ones were. This is a question that was just sent in to me.
All right.
And we can answer it together. So, dear Jay and guest, what dreams have you still have left to accomplish? And do you think you'll ever will? And does it matter? Are dreams themselves just fuel for a race that will never finish?
Oh, I actually got very teary-eyed when your listener said that.
Yeah, this is from Austin.
Now in my advanced years, I'm looking at.
You keep saying advanced years.
Well, I'm
you're a year older than me.
I'm in my declining years for sure.
All right.
I'm looking at how much time I have left on this earth. Which
Do you know?
I'm
Is there a clock? Are you aware of it?
Tick tock, tick tock.
Okay.
I'm thinking optimistically, I have 30 years left. I'm thinking if I live to a ripe old age.
Sure.
But the dreams that
30 years left, but like 4 good ones.
Yeah, 4 good ones.
Yeah.
Yes. I have to really visit all the continents before
right.
before I'm too old to travel.
Antarctica now.
Yes. And well, I always wanted to. I was just inducted in the Women's Poker Hall of Fame.
Fantastic.
I'd love to be inducted into the real Poker Hall of Fame. I mean, why not?
Right.
I'm famous.
Right.
Right.
Who's in the real Poker Hall of Fame?
Oh, well, these really great poker players. But Wild Bill Hickok is in the Poker Hall of Fame. Yeah. He's just famous for getting shot in the back while he had aces and eights.
Yeah.
I think you can be you don't have to be the greatest. Before I said to Phil, and then I got rudely interrupted by somebody. I said, we're television poker players.
Right.
Like Phil is a great poker player. I'm a pretty good poker player, but what we're really good at is being television poker players, television personalities. Like everybody wants to watch us play poker. Why? Because we're entertaining and we make it look like fun.
Right. Doesn't it sound like the shittiest afternoon is to go to the Poker Hall of Fame? Like really, just go. Like what's happening at the Poker Hall of Fame?
I know. I think they're eating like rubber chicken and complaining about the other poker players.
There's like a vending machine off to the side.
I think so. Yes. Yeah, but it sounds good.
No, it's great honor to be asked, but you don't want to go to the Poker Hall of Fame.
Well, my dreams that I'm kind of feeling like, because I let my manager, my agent go because I'm tired. I'm tired.
Sure.
All I want to do, play poker, go to fashion shows, be with my family. Family's very important, and make Chucky content.
Yeah.
That's what I'm interested in.
We're like
right
mirror
now.
Images of each other. I do the same exact thing.
But I've taken my really big dreams and I folded them and put them away. Like, I don't know. And Oscars are so political.
Right.
Like last year,
but you were nominated for an Academy Award. You were in the
nominations aren't political, but who wins is really political. Last year, somebody won that I specifically, I'm a member of the Academy, logged onto the Academy just to cockblock this particular actor who was very, very mean to me in a movie, and then they won. So I'm like, okay, very, very undeserved nomination, not just because you're a mean person, but it's the movies, people get carried away. It's really political. The greatest movies don't get nominated, don't win because there was a movie about Mother Teresa that nobody has ever seen. So I feel like the Oscar yes, it's everyone's dream to win an Oscar, but then what do you do with it after that?
Nothing.
I remember Sam, he was so sad because everybody he'd mentored, everybody was winning Emmys, and they're, being very satirical, like, I made my Emmy into a toilet paper holder.
Right.
Oh, my Emmy is a doorstop. And he wanted an Emmy so bad so he could treat it disrespectfully in a funny way. Now, the last time I saw him, he had like 17, 18
Wall
Emmys.
of Emmys,
He was getting so many, he wasn't even picking them up anymore.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what awards don't matter.
Awards don't matter. I have so many awards. Yeah. I have a whole, I have this, and I have the Roger Ebert thumbs up award and everything. They don't, because if you're good, you're good. But you do want to go to the big Oscar.
But to get back
circus.
to Austin's question, are dreams themselves just fuel
to keep you going?
To keep you going and to give you a reason to reach for more.
I think it's true. I think they say a lot of times when people retire, they sort of fade and disappear really fast after that because they feel like they're not useful anymore. I'm at the age where I honestly thought I would be retired. When Don called with Chucky television series, all of a sudden I had a reason.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to playing Tiffany for the fans. And it's like, I guess I better lose some weight. And then he'd write scenes for me where I was crying. It's like, I guess I better cry some real tears, for the fans.
Right.
So
you have that option.
What?
I'm going to cry some real tears. I can't muster up real tears.
I cried so many real tears. I don't enjoy it. I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
It's so easy to cry. Comedy is very difficult.
Yeah,
but I felt like, well, here, this is, you need a little poignancy and reality here in this show about a doll that runs around killing people.
That's amazing.
And so I can do it. Like, I'm a brilliant Oscar-nominated actress.
I know.
And I'm never like, it's just Tiffany. She's the bride of Chucky.
Right.
She's arguing with her boyfriend who happens to be a doll. I mean, I go full throttle. And the interesting thing is Chucky is also the great Brad Dourif, who's also an Oscar-nominated actor. And he never thinks like, I'm slumming, I'm picking up a paycheck doing the voice for the doll. He thinks it's very, very important what drives Chucky and what fills Chucky with rage and what makes Chucky sad. So I think that's why the show has endured so much, is because people really relate to our characters.
I agree.
Yes,
I agree.
But yes, I do think it is funny because I sometimes I think about writing a book and then it's like, who cares what happens after I'm gone? But I think that it's true, and I noticed that you've gotten very philosophical also in your declining years.
Yeah, certainly.
Philosophy Friday, and I
do.
think you really do think about, the bigger issues. And Godfather 3 was much reviled, and perhaps rightly so. There was some great moments in it, but there's Godfather 1 and Godfather 2. I don't think anybody really considers Godfather 3 anything other than an aberration. But one of the things I think about a lot is that Al Pacino's character was trying to buy his way into heaven. And so he was meeting with the Pope, and he was donating money to churches and everything. And you do start to think about, am I a good person? Like, when I take my money and I could be donating it to, the animals or the sad causes that are very important, and I buy a diamond necklace, I think about, wow, is this going to count against me when I'm trying to enter the pearly gates? Which I'm very, very generous, and I take care of my family, and I donate a lot to charity. But there was a story that I read when I was a little kid. Little girl, she's in her Sunday best, and it really stuck with me. She's wearing a very fancy outfit. She has new shoes, and her mother says, take this loaf of bread across town and to give it to this poor family. She's walking across town. She sees a puddle. She doesn't want to get her new shoes muddy. She puts the bread in the puddle so she can step on the bread.
Wow.
And when she steps on the bread, something strange happens. It sinks down into the ground. Now she's underground for years and years and years in the dark with the mud and the worms because of her greediness and feeling like her shoes were more important than this bread that was going to feed a family. And she heard people talking about her, about what an evil little girl she was and how whatever happened to her. And so I think about that sometimes because there is, you obviously want to give all your money away.
Yeah.
But you kind of can't because, you've got to...
My brain just exploded from the whole bread thing.
You've got to have Gucci.
I'm going to say to Austin, yes, dreams are just fuel for stuff that you're going to do, and that doing them themselves, meeting them, actually attaining them doesn't always matter.
You know what?
The journey is what matters.
I'm just going to say, when Sam was diagnosed with terminal cancer, my ex-husband, that I loved very much and still do.
And I did too.
They gave him 3 to 6 months to live. He ended up living for 2 years because he felt like there was so much he had to do and he wanted to save so many animals and do so much good before he left through sheer force of will. And you saw him towards the end. He was just a soul.
Yes.
In a ravaged body.
Yeah.
And even the day before he passed away, he said to Nurse Irene, I'm not ready to go. I have so much more to do. So I believe that when you have things that you want to do, it spurs you to keep going and continue on.
I agree. Well, Jennifer, thank you for being here. You're
Thank
wonderful
you,
and adorable, and I love you, and I appreciate you, and you're great. And,
thank you.
And I'm sorry it took me so long to ask you to be here.
And you're so wonderful, and thank you for bringing the wrong guy into the world that got me through customs for about 13 years.
I'm grateful. You're welcome. And thank you, our audience, for being here. And please tell a friend about this show. And if you want to reach me, write me at dbawjk@gmail.com, and I'll answer you. And don't be alone. Have some fun with somebody sometime. Bye-bye.
Don't be alone with Jay.